Hi everyone, welcome to Ayriak's Quality Pyro playthrough. Now, before I get started on anything else, yes, I do realise that I haven't selected the Master Key as my starting gift, and yes, there is a specific reason why I chose the Old Witch's Ring instead, which I will get into as I'm playing through. Now, the purpose of this playthrough is just to create a new character. It's not intended as a speed run, a challenge run, or anything of the sort. So, if that was the kind of playthrough you were expecting, sorry to disappoint, but it's not going to happen this time. With that said, I will be demonstrating a couple of speedrunning techniques in here, but I'm not going to be focusing too much on the techniques that I used in speedrunning. One thing that I will be actively demonstrating is some of the techniques and methods I use in my own playthroughs. So I'm just going to try and cram as much information from that into this playthrough as I can. Some of you may find it useful, some of you probably already know, but either way I'm sure it'll be of help to somebody out there. With all of that out of the way, let's get started, shall we? Alright, the first thing I wanted to touch on is the reason I didn't choose the Master Key as my starting gift. The reason for that is because it does allow access to certain areas from the start of the game, one of which contains quite a lot of souls as well as a very decent farming area, and it also allows you to skip quite a few bosses as well. Because this is intended to be a more thorough, in-depth playthrough, skipping bosses isn't something I want to do. I didn't like the bonfire just before for a reason, same as the bonfire that's coming up here as well, because I'll be returning to the Undead Asylum a bit later. I can light and kindle them both then, so I'll just leave it for now. I did write a short list of things that I wanted to bring up, but I seem to have misplaced it. I plan on finishing this recording after arriving at Firelink, but before heading off to the Berg, there's a few things I want to do before I kill the Taurus demon. So the couple of topics I do remember off the top of my head will probably be more than enough to cover this first part. Hopefully, at least. Just wanted to mention quickly, I didn't kill Oscar myself because, as I mentioned before, I'll be coming back to the Undead Asylum, so I'll be going after his crashed shield when I do. Alright, so I'm just coming up to the Asylum demon shortly. And I'm just going to do a jumping attack here, which will hopefully land the extra damage. As you saw there, 2 lots of damage on the Asylum demon. Normally it does 320 damage when you just land the plunging attack, but when you do a jumping attack from the ledge, it does an extra 95 for two-handing the hand axe. Also coming up here is the cutscene when you get carried off by the crow. It is possible to actually skip, and I'll show you how to do that now. By rolling as close to that gravestone on the right as you can when you get close to triggering the cutscene, that's when you need to actually perform the roll. Otherwise, you get stuck having to watch through a good 5 to 10 seconds of a cutscene, which is fine if you haven't seen it already. I'm just talking to Petrus here, so I can learn his shrug gesture. And then from here I'll move on to the treasure chests that can be found not too far from here.
Now, come again?
Alright, one thing that I did want to mention as well is just in regards to patch 109. Now, it hasn't been released in Australia as of yet, so I'm playing in an offline mode for the time being. I'm hoping I don't get too far through the game before it comes out, mainly because I could be missing out on some interesting random invasions and PvP. We'll see, hopefully it doesn't take too long before it comes out. Anyway, back to what I was saying before, or rather what I was starting to say before, is just in regards to a few brainstorming sessions that I've been having with a good friend of mine recently, mainly about Dark Souls video ideas, and Dark Souls video ideas. He did ask me a question that had got me to thinking though, which was, would I be willing to delve into something a little more personal with my audience? So I started thinking about that, as I really don't tend to have much to say about myself, so I thought, yeah, well, I can always give it a go, and if you like it, I can implement that into more of my commentary. If you don't, I can still implement it into my commentary, you just won't like it very much, that's all. Okay, so a little about me and some of my personal tastes, likes and dislikes. Actually, I'll try and keep this positive and just give you the likes for now, or at least a couple of them. So, one of the things I tend to tell people when trying to break the ice a little bit is how I enjoy long walks in the rain, but I have to have an umbrella. So I enjoy walks in the rain with an umbrella, especially when nobody else has one. I also like going to shopping centres and waiting for groups of people to get halfway up or down an escalator and hitting the emergency stop button. That way, being stuck in the middle, they have to walk the rest of the way. But that's just me. I don't know. You should try it sometime. Making people walk, giving them a bit of exercise, it's good for them. I will have to warn you though, not everybody seems to appreciate it when you try and do something good for them. So, there is the chance that somebody will yell or scream at you. But, I suppose that's just life sometimes. You try and do something good for somebody and they just spit it back in your face. Anyway, back to what's actually going on here in the game. As you saw before, I picked up a Firekeeper Soul, which I'm going to use to reinforce my Estus Flask when I return to Firelink. I'm down here mainly for the composite bow though. Okay, that was a lucky drop to get here. Being so early on in the game, the very low stat requirements of a Jagged Ghost Blade, as well as the attack rating that you get of 157, is, well, extremely good to have so early on. So that should make the first few areas in the game quite easy. So I'm getting close to the composite bow now. I just need to make a jump coming up here. That one. And I should have the composite bow very shortly now. The reason I made the jump instead of cutting through the building is so it aggroed less of the ghosts. I think making the jump, only one or two tend to come out, whereas if you actually cut through the building, you tend to have quite a few following you from there. So I'm just going to get the humanity from up here and then return to Firelink, reinforce my Estus and do a bit of leveling up. First things first, I need to reinforce my Estus with the Firekeeper soul that I got from New Londo Ruins. From there I need to level my dexterity to 12, which will allow me to use the composite bow, as well as to hand in the halberd. I'm thinking I should have enough souls here to be able to level my endurance to 15 as well. Now on to the Taurus demon.